What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP, and welcome back to the latest episode of the True Mets Talk podcast. It is Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, and we are inching closer and closer to live action in spring training here in just a couple of days. Before we get into this video, as always, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and commenting your thoughts and opinions down below. We'll be talking about the latest Mets depth piece signings of Man Choi and Luke Voit. I know I'm a little late on these signings, but bear with me. We'll be talking about these two players and how they could potentially fit as competition for that fourth bench spot come opening day when the final opening day roster is set. Like I said, thank you all for rocking with me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting. I appreciate it. Let's get into today's video.
You are now watching the True Mets Talk podcast, talking New York Mets baseball 24/7, 365, with your host, CP.
With this down right field, stumbling start for Stewart. It's drilled to deep left field by Alvarez, and that's going to go in 4 straight games for the second time in he's homered in 4.
All right, let's get into it. I'm going to keep this video very short because, as you can tell on your screen, there really isn't much to talk about with these two players. They are veteran first base options for the New York Mets, both on minor league deals with spring training invitations, and definitely going to be competing for that last bench spot that is in the possession right now of DJ Stewart. But you see the 2023 numbers here for both of these players. Not pretty and not much sample size to go along with it here. Obviously, Man Choi appearing with both the San Diego Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates in 39 games, hitting under 200, only 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, and an OPS that was at 624. I wasn't even going to go on a Savant page, but I did, and I'm happy that I did because honestly, I was surprised with what I found. Had great metrics in the advanced metric category of exit velocity, chase percentage, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, and expected slugging. And I would have never thought that just looking at the traditional numbers, as you can see on the left-handed side of the Man Choi rectangle from 2023. Now, like I said, these advanced metrics don't tell the type of season that Man Choi had because it was bad, but they do tell the sort of tool set that he still possesses as a ball player. He knows the strike zone, knows it quite well, doesn't expand the strike zone, and hits balls hard, which is honestly at this point with this type of minor league deal, all the Mets can hope for to see out of him in spring training, hoping that he can crack that opening day roster. Now, does he do it? We'll talk about that here in just a second. Luke Voit, more the same thing, lack of a sample size. Probably even worse statistics here for Luke Voit. No home runs, no pop. OPS was even worse than Man Choi's, but he did bat 221 for whatever that's worth in your book. Other strengths for Luke Voit, his baseball savant page wasn't as impressive as Man Choi's, given the lack of true statistics to go off of in 2023. The sweet spot percentage was there for Luke Voit. And I honestly was very confused that at one point, looking at sweet spot percentage versus barrel percentage on the Savant page, their definitions are something like barrel percentage takes into account not only launch angle, but exit velocity, whereas sweet spot percentage only takes into account the launch angle between 8 degrees and 32 degrees on any given sort of swing. So that is definitely a little bit confusing for me still, but nonetheless, this is what you get on Luke Voigt's Savant page. Also, we can't forget the fact that he was with the Mets organization last year when he got released by the Milwaukee Brewers. He signed with the New York Mets on a minor league deal, went to Syracuse AAA where he appeared in 37 games, hitting 14 home runs and an OPS that was north of 1,000, which is very impressive. But he eventually did not get the September call up and he opted out of his deal with the New York Mets. He finds himself back with this Mets organization, a very full circle moment. And we'll see, like Man Choi, how Luke Voit fares when it comes to cracking a potential opening day roster. Now, these two signings, I'm going to say it up front here, do not affect Pete Alonso in any way. And I hope I'm not insulting the intelligence of you all as viewers. I hope you already knew this coming into it, and this goes without saying, but I'm positive if I went on my X account and I typed in keywords of Pete Alonso and either Man Choi Luke Voit, there's going to be some fans saying, well, these guys are options to get called up and be with this organization at first base if the Mets are in contention and have any thoughts about trading Pete Alonso. I promise you, when David Stern signed these two players, Luke Voit and Man Choi, there was no thought of how this would impact Pete Alonso at any given point this season or beyond. Okay, that's enough Pete Alonso talk. I know there's a lot more to debunk there. I'm going to probably talk about it, maybe if not this week, but somewhere down the line. It gets a little exhausting with these, I guess, new-ish quotes, but not really new-ish ideas surrounding Pete Alonso, because anything that's been said as of recent surrounding this Pete Alonso situation, we've basically already known for quite some time. Okay, moving forward. These two guys on the left-handed side of your screen, this way, are a lot more likely to be impacted by Man Choi and Luke Voit. Mark Vientos, bar none, 100% is going to be the opening day DH for the New York Mets. All signs from this front office point to that fact. But how big of a leash is Mark Vientos going to have if he comes out of the gates and struggles for the New York Mets and they find themselves winning some ball games? How big of a leash does he have as that everyday DH? For me, if you have already committed this season to starting off with Mark Vientos and saying that this year is going to be seeing what the young players have, then you have to give him a big leash and you have to stick with Mark Vientos until you simply can't stick with him any longer. But if the Mets are sort of in contention for a wild card, they find themselves winning a lot of games in April and May and come out the gates hot, then maybe you have a different conversation. We won't know until that happens, but keep an eye out on that situation as it pertains to Man Choi and Luke Voit being in that minor league system if they don't crack the opening day roster as bench pieces. Mark Vientos, like I said, I do not want his at-bats hindered with the likes of anybody else. We've committed to Mark Vientos. Let's stay committed. I've talked about Mark Vientos time and time again on this channel. I've went over his FanGraphs projections going into 2024. I think he's going to blow those projections out of the water. So I don't have any sort of, I guess, quarrels or any sort of feelings there about these guys potentially taking away Mark Vientos at bats. But DJ Stewart is a different story. DJ Stewart is definitely 100% not a sure lock-in for this Mets opening day roster. And I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons why, and we'll get into this screen. Now, what is not on the screen is that DJ Stewart actually does have one more minor league option left on his contract, meaning if he doesn't crack the opening day roster, the Mets want to go with either Man Choi or Luke Voit, then he is not going to become a free agent. He doesn't have to go through the waiver wire. He is going to be outrighted, presumably to AAA Syracuse. That cannot be said for a lot of other players, especially veterans in the league. DJ Stewart is 30 years old. We know that he just came onto the scene last season with the Mets, had a great essentially 1 month sample size to end the season, and we're still wondering who he is truly as a ball player. Now, you see how the Mets bench looks like heading into 2024. These three guys at the top are essentially mainstays for this bench heading into 2024 when this opening day roster is going to be locked. Tyrone Taylor's your right-handed fourth outfielder. Joey Wendell is your super utility man off the bench, can play outfield, but can also play third base and second base. And Omar Narvaez is going to be your left-handed hitting backup catcher to Francisco Alvarez. Now, you have right, left here. Do the Mets really want to commit off the bat to a third left-handed hitting option that is DJ Stewart for the 2024 New York Mets bench? That is something that plays directly into Luke Voit's strength. If he goes out there and performs well this spring training, Luke Voit might just find himself a spot on this 2024 Mets roster to open up the season. Now, A lot of people are probably not going to be happy about that, but we also did just see Carlos Mendoza answer questions about Luke Voit and where he fits, saying he's definitely in the mix. Now, what does in the mix mean? Your guess is as good as mine, but when we look at this bench, the righty-lefty sort of matchups the Mets love to deploy, it would only make sense to put another righty with that last bench spot. Also, the Mets don't have a backup first baseman on the roster outside of their everyday presumed DH in Mark Vientos. Luke Voit can also be that. Now, this is a little bit unfair to Ji-Man Choi because I do like everything that Ji-Man Choi does better than Luke Voit, not only defensively, but offensively as well. Ji-Man Choi having a great sample size to him between 2018 and 2022 with the Tampa Bay Rays, gets on base, can hit for power. Doesn't play spectacular defense, but probably plays maybe a little bit better defense than Luke Voit. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. I think all signs point to Luke Voit being that option if DJ Stewart is going to start in AAA. Now, I'm not saying DJ Stewart's 100% going to start in AAA. This is just sort of speculation here about what the Mets might want to open up this sort of bench unit moving forward when opening day hits. It would make sense if he does, given he does have the option left. And if Luke Voit falters, you can always bring either Ji-Man Choi or DJ Stewart up at any point during the season. But like I said, we will see very shortly how these guys perform. This is going to be a competition. This is probably the only offensive roster spot that is up for grabs going into this 2024 season, is this fourth bench spot. So my question to you all as viewers, who do you want to see the Mets get or the Mets put onto their roster as that fourth bench spot? Do you want to see three lefties and just put DJ Stewart up there because we're confident in that sample size that he was able to provide last season? Or do we want to see one of these new faces, Luke Voit, because he's a righty and you can pair him with Tyrone Taylor to make two righties and two lefties, or Ji-Man Choi because you like what you saw out of Ji-Man Choi in Tampa Bay with the high on base, very good batter's eye IQ, what have you. Give me your reasons. Let me know what you think. This is going to be an interesting competition moving forward as spring training commences. Thank you all for watching. As I said, don't put too much stock into these signings. This is a last bench spot competition at the very maximum. Both these guys are not going to be taking away Mark Vientos' at-bats, and both these guys have no impact on what Pete Alonso's situation is with the New York Mets. As always, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, comment your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel likewise. Follow me on all my social media handles at CPNYSPORTS on X and Instagram. Same handle as my YouTube. Check out all of the latest content on the channel. There will be more Mets talk as spring training approaches this week. Make sure you check it out. Interstate Mets Report, just to let you all know the time change going on this Friday. We're going to be going at 8 p.m. instead of our usual 3 or 4 p.m. time slot. Interstate Mets Report at night this Friday. Check us out. I appreciate it. Like I said, thank you all for the support on the channel. It's your boy CP. Until next time on the True Mets Talk podcast, I'm out. Thank you for watching the latest episode of the CP New York Sports Pod. If you enjoyed this content, make sure you hit that thumbs up, comment your thoughts and opinions, and use the lower right-hand button of this video to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.